We'll move on to some of the hurling games from the weekend, and I mean I suppose really the biggest game of the weekend, probably in the entirety of the GA, was Limerick and Clare. It was Limerick 129, Clare 29 points. I mean, a spectacle really of hurling from both sides. You had big challenges, big goals as well, big decisions from the referee, which, as we were saying off air, he done very, very well in this game, to be fair to him. And look, Limerick again, when the goings got tough, they found an answer and they found a way to respond.
Absolutely, and you should appreciate greatness when it's just there. Like Limerick were absolutely outstanding. Seamus Flanagan, 8 points out of nowhere. Argalan didn't have his best game, but still pulled a few points for play out of the bag. Like even Conor Boylan coming on, Declan Hannon getting that late score until afterwards Tony Kelly hit a sideline. But this game absolutely had everything, and Clare were probably the better team for most of the game, but it just shows great champions when there is there, and Limerick just epitomised that. Like when they were under the cosh, they still found a way somehow to win this game, and fair play to them for that. What an achievement for their players, what an achievement for John Coyley. 4 Munsters in a row, which we all know it's a very hard thing to do. Fair play to them. But as we were saying correctly off the air, the referee was absolutely outstanding, and John Keenan from Wicklow had a brilliant game, to be honest with you. I've had a few Clare fans get on to me saying it was a terrible game and all that, but like, I think he evened it out. Like, even look at the stats of the game, 18 frees each, 14 scoreable frees each. So, I think he evened the game out very well. Maybe there was a few incidents like Rory Hayes probably should have got a red card. Seamus Flanagan, a few incidents there. Like, there was a few incidents in the game where there was dirty challenges, and the incident of the tunnel. And while we're on that, I was so disappointed someone with an RT camera didn't race in for that. Maybe they could have got a punch along the way or something like that, but I was thinking, get in by hook or by crook, get into that, because we wanted to see that entertainment at the end of the game. But we had enough entertainment on the pitch, but fair play to both sides in the pouring rain as well. Fair play to both sides for putting on a spectacle. Fair play to the referee, and what a game this was. And Clare will go into the All-Ireland series now, probably playing Wexford in the quarter-final. With optimism now. I think they only have to get over Wexford and Kilkenny to get to the All-Ireland final. That's a realistic objective. So, fair play to Clare, but Limerick, they are champions for a reason, and they are a team to be feared for a reason. They are absolutely superb outfit and never say die.
Yeah, I mean, they just always seem to find a way. I mean, I was saying earlier, like with Jurgen Klopp, sometimes when he's speaking about Liverpool and he refers to them as mentality monsters, I mean, you could literally say that about this Limerick team, because every time the goings got tough, every time they've been pushed to the pin of their collar, they just find a way by hook or by crook. And it's always different ways as well. Sometimes it might be moving Cole Hayes further up the pitch. Shamey Flanagan might step up. It will be Tom Morrissey who will step up. It will be, Dermot Burns, Declan Hannon, or, it might be David Reedy coming off the bench. They just have so many options and so many different ways of winning games. And like Shamey Flanagan, excellent with 8 points. Barry Nash, unbelievable at cornerback as well. And defensively, being able to shut out a lot of those Clare goal chances, I think was key really for Limerick in winning this game.
Absolutely, it was. I think Clare only had one goal chance where I think it was correct me from, I think it was Sean Finn got in the way, his leg got in the way of the sliotar. What a superb block from him. I think Clare really had one goal chance in the entire game. And while we're on goals, Garrod Haggerty's goal was needed, number one, and number two, what a finish from him. And again, I think like he was player of the year 2020, but has probably gone in under the radar since then. He had a very good performance in the All-Ireland final last year against Cork, and another good performance again yesterday. He was absolutely outstanding. And Limerick, when the going got tough, you talk about mentality monsters there. Like you just wonder how they keep doing it. It's kind of like Dublin when they were under the cosh against Mayo in football. It kind of reminds me about that. When this Limerick team is under the cosh, even the Tipperary game last year, you're thinking, how did they recover from that? And this game, look, Clare were so far ahead in most aspects of the game, but still Limerick found a way to get through. And even the last minute drama as well, Declan Hannon pucking the ball over the bar, and you think Clare aren't going to get it. Limerick have finally won this Munster title after a brilliant battle. The ball goes out for a sideline. I was thinking Peter Duggan might get it over, but then when Tony Kelly walks over, I'm thinking Will he get it over from this tight angle? But what a score. He didn't even have to think twice, which is the most impressive thing. Just put it over the bar like the brilliant player he is. Probably up there with one of the greatest of all time. 13 points again yesterday. What a superb display from him. And yeah, what a superb display from Clare in general as well. David Fitzgerald from midfield, 5 points. Ryan Taylor was brilliant from corner forward. So brilliant from Clare, but Limerick lived to fight another day in the Munster Championship. Like 4 wins in a row. Like, who would have thought that about this Limerick team? Like, I don't think 4 in a row is not been done. I think since, I don't know, Cork in the 70s or something like that. Like,
yeah, I think Cork did it in the 80s. There might have been a few other teams as well, but no team's ever done 5 in a row in Munster. So I mean, that's going to be the big one next year to see if they could go and do 5 in a row. And as you said there, like, I mean, like, is there any stopping them? Like, it just, like, I know we're always going to have the conversation, and, you know, because the questions do need to be asked, and you do need to discuss these games and all the rest. Otherwise, there'd be no point. But I mean, it does. You just look at it and you just think there's no way the All Ireland doesn't end up in Limerick this year, because no matter what test they face, like, they just seem to always find a way to come through it. And, you know, whoever they're playing in the semi-finals or final, you know, of the All Ireland, they're probably going to find a way there as well, because they seem to always do so.
They do, yeah. They're absolutely superb outfit for a reason there. And a lot of people were saying during the league, this team is finished. And I stuck to my guns. I was saying, this team is only getting ready. It's only getting warmed up. And then in the Munster Championship, they exploded against Cork. They exploded against Waterford for periods of that game. And again, when it mattered, they exploded again. And that's a sign of a great team. And I said in your podcast, I think a few months ago, that they could even win 5 All-Irelands, never mind Munsters in a row. You were saying maybe not. I'm not sure what you think now. I just think this team is just so good in every area of the pitch. And even Kyle Hayes didn't have his best performance yesterday, but you have David Reedy to come on. You have Conor Boylan to come on. You have Oisin O'Reilly to come on now from Kilmallock. He's been very good for club, and now he's doing very good for Limerick in the last few years or so. So, you know, Pat Ryan's been kicked off the panel, but still you have impact subs coming into it. Colin Collin coming in from the under 20s. Adam English was there. Didn't even come on yesterday. Cathal O'Neill has come in seamlessly into this team and has done absolutely outstanding. So they have more players coming. Paul Kinnerk and John Kiley are keeping this team ticking. And for as long as they keep going, I don't think there's going to be a team to stop them. You know, and honestly, I think Clare could have done yesterday if they had maybe a bit more tactical notes about them. But even like if these two sides get to the All Ireland final, I wouldn't be surprised if Limerick pull off a performance like they did against Cork last year. They're that good. They could switch it on just in an instant. They're an absolutely outstanding team, and I honestly think I'll stick to my guns. They could win 5 or 6 in a row of All Irelands. They're that good.
Yeah, I mean, as you said there, like, I mean, you see how quick things can change in hurling a lot of the time. Like, you see that with Waterford this year, for example, second best team in the country, all of a sudden knocked out. But look, the precedent is there. Like, I mean, year in, year out now since 2019, they keep finding an answer. They keep finding a way. You know, it'd be interesting to see what happens if they were to maybe lose a Munster final and how they'd respond to that. Obviously, I mean, we know now, like, if they were to lose in a semi-final or final, obviously there's no way back from there. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see what would happen there. But as you said, it does look like, I mean, what if they win the All Ireland this year? It'd be what, 3 in a row? It is very similar as well to the Dubs. I mean, you can even look at Limerick's defeat to Kilkenny being the turning point that Dublin had when they lost to Donegal under Jim Gavin. Like, there's a lot of sort of similarities there between the two counties. But as for Clare, I mean, look, as you said there, you know, very, very positive from them. Obviously, the likes of Tony Kelly, Peter Duggan going off in extra time, which was definitely a huge hindrance. But look, I mean, they're definitely a team to be feared. I mean, the energy that they played with, Tony Kelly, excellent again. Peter Duggan, very good. And Davy Fitzgerald, I mean, living up to the name in midfield, you know, coming out of retirement after managing Wexford and Waterford, you know, I mean, hitting 5 points in the middle, not too bad.
Yeah, for such a small man as well. Yeah, superb from David Fitz playing midfield as well. Who thought that would happen? But all jokes aside, yeah, like, what a superb performance from Clare. And a lot of people going into the game thought they'd get hammered. by this Limerick team. But what a performance from them! And well, a lot of people said they finished bottom of this Munster group. Well, they're now on the cusp of doing something brilliant. But the disappointing aspect from Clare, I thought, was their fans on social media. I thought the players were absolutely outstanding, but some of the fans on social media were saying, "Oh, the referee was a disgrace." But the referee was clearly unbiased. He was clearly letting the game flow. I thought, in most people's opinions as well, that he was absolutely outstanding. But Clare fans seem to think that everything went against them. Maybe that's just the loss talking, but they keep talking and talking and talking. But I'm just saying, focus on Wexford now, because you only have to beat Wexford and Kilkenny and you're in an All-Ireland final. You're that close to an All-Ireland final now. You need to concentrate on that. Perform like you did against Limerick yesterday. And the sky's the limit for you. I thought they were absolutely outstanding. Peter Duggan has really helped coming back into the team. There might have been a few controversial incidents with him yesterday, but you need that aggression at the same time in this game. Rory Hayes again outstanding. David Fitzgerald, as I mentioned, Ryan Taylor, Tony Kelly, Cathal Malone doesn't seem to be scoring much as he did the previous 2 years, but he's working way harder for the team than he ever did. He's been absolutely brilliant. Dermot Ryan, Shane Meehan, he's only 19, coming off the bench and scoring a point. What a superb cameo from him as well. And Clare do have the panel, and a lot of people were saying after last year that Brian Lohan was probably right to say that he could leave. But I was saying Clare fans need to be patient with him. There's something building in this team. And voila, something is building with this team. They're on the cusp of an All-Ireland final now. Their first since 2013, their first semi-final appearance since 2019. But yeah, they have to keep their feet in the ground now. They have to put this game to one side now and concentrate on Wexford or Kerry, of course. I'm not going to disrespect the men from the kingdom there. But yeah, fair play to Clare, brilliant performance. But concentrate in the quarterfinal now, and they're all ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the big one, isn't it? Like, I mean, they've sort of been the underdogs through the Munster Championship. They're underdogs against Limerick as well. Now all of a sudden there's a bit of different pressure now on this Clare side, because we've seen that they can deliver. They beat Wexford in the last two championship games when Wexford were probably going in as the favourites in both of those two games. So and obviously then if they were to get past Wexford, as Jack says here, easy to say Clare will be favourites, but don't write off Kilkenny in a one-off game. And that is the point, because you know, Kilkenny in an All-Ireland semi-final, like you can't sleep on them either. I know Kilkenny have lost the last two All-Ireland semi-finals they've been in, but yeah, I mean, look, for Clare, for the Clare fans, although a lot of them weren't happy on social media, like you said, and I'm not too sure what that was about, they do have a lot to be positive for now going into, I suppose, the rest of the season.
Absolutely, and if the players keep performing the way they do, the sky's the limit, as I said, for them, and this will be a building block for Clare in the next few seasons. Like the last few years have been hit and miss really for them. Like Seamus Brady actually mentioned a good point on my podcast. I think maybe it was another episode, or maybe it was this week's preview or something like that. Clare had a lot of wides last year. We were sitting here talking about if they rectified that, maybe they could get further in the competition. And they've definitely rectified that. Maybe not so much yesterday. I would grant them that, to be honest with you, because the conditions were absolutely dreadful for both sides, not just Clare. The wides yesterday, like there was 17 or 16 wides for either side or something yesterday. So I'll grant them that. It was a poor day for hurling. But other than that game, Clare have been razor sharp in front of goal, and they've rectified that. And we were asking the question, if they rectify that, where can they get? This year proves that they could get to a quarterfinal, a semi-final, possibly a final. And that is credit to Brian Lohan for that, for fixing that issue when the pundits were saying that was the clear issue with this Clare team. And he's rectified that. And Clare are now only 2 games away now from an All-Ireland final. Who thought that in the league campaign of this year?
Yeah, I mean, it is a great point that you make there. And I do think as well, like when you look at Clare and obviously the performance as well against Limerick, it was absolutely huge and crucial in many ways. I was going to say something there and I lost my complete train of thought, so we'll get back to that at some point. But Jimmy Mack says here, any chance of an English perspective on the show, Aaron? I'm a massive GA fan. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what exactly you mean. I mean, I would definitely love to hopefully get some London footballers, managers, all the rest on the podcast at some point. I mean, that'd be great to see. But look, moving on, I suppose, to Galway, Kilkenny. Kilkenny, as we were talking about there, finding a way to deliver and get the victory in the end by a scoreline of 22 points to 17. But I mean, in your opinion, I mean, it wasn't a great game, to be perfectly honest, in terms of a hurling. The atmosphere looked fairly dead. The handshake really seems to be the only thing people are mostly interested in. You nearly forget there even was a game going on if you looked on Twitter and social media. But look, for Kilkenny, once again, when the chips are down, they find a way and answer. And 17 Leinster titles now for Brian Cody. I mean, that is incredible, really.
Yeah, I think they're level low. So I think Wexford in the Roll of Honour, though, Cody and Wexford. And I think they're only 2 or 3 behind Dublin. I'm not entirely sure now, but they're only a small bit behind Dublin as well. Brian Cody, what a man, what a manager he is. But you were right there. It was a pretty awful game. Like, when you look at the stats, like 18 points between the two sides from play. Like in a hurling game. And when you look, that was the total Clare from play managed in the Munster final. Like, I mean, the Munster final was clear, the Leinster final this year was clear. It was definite there. But the main thing was, it was off the pitch, the handshake. We knew it'd be tense. It would be tense. They'll get the handshake. For a moment there, I thought that Henry was just standing there, arms crossed. Brian Cody was just lauding it in. His 17th Leinster title, as you said. He was congratulating players and all that. But eventually he went over to him, and I don't know what he said. Like, I was mentioning this in a post on Instagram. I don't know what he said. I'd love a lip reader to come on to the podcast or something like that. Just give us an insight. What did Cody say to him that made Henry a bit unhappy? Like, he was shaking his head, just walking away. Like, oh, there had to be some tension there. But in a way, it's quite sad. I think the two of them spent so much time together, so many brilliant moments, like All-Ireland titles and all that. Like, Seamus Brady again was mentioning that this is kind of like Roy Keane and Alex Ferguson at Man United. They spent so many times as player, manager, captain and manager, and then when there were two managers, when Roy was manager of Sunderland, their things seemed to be frosty on the sideline then. So I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know, is it all for show, to be honest with you? Maybe Cody. Yeah. I really don't know. But even I was looking at a photo, I think I've seen it on Twitter somewhere. Paulie O'Shea and Mick O'Dwyer, they had their bust-ups in the past in like the 80s. But then when Westmeath faced Laois in 2004, there was happiness between the two. Even Mick O'Dwyer losing, there was no begrudging or anything. They shook hands like men. And I would have liked to see, I know there's drama between Brian Cody and Henry Shefflin. We love to see drama, obviously, and taking things into the media, something to talk about. Well, thank God, in this case, there was something to talk about because the game itself was pretty poor. But at the same time, it is pretty sad. Like, the two of them spent brilliant years together in a great team, possibly one of the greatest of all time, that Kilkenny team. Henry being the greatest player of all time, and Cody being possibly one of the greatest manager of all time. That's down to interpretation. But for them, with frosty relations on the sideline, I think it's great for media, but at the same time, it is sad to see. I don't know what you think about that yourself. Is it sad to see, or is it's probably a bit of both, to be honest with you?
Yeah, it's a hard one to know, really, because like when you look at the handshake, I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, the whole reason why there's a bit of bite between the two is obviously because he's gone to manage Galway and they're big rivals. But I don't know. I feel like there's a subplot in this story here that we're missing somewhere. And we all know that Brian Cody haven't achieved what he achieved as a player, of course, with Kilkenny, but obviously as a manager with Ballyhale Shamrocks, winning multiple All-Irelands. I think it was set in stone for him to be the next Kilkenny manager. Like, he was the heir of the throne. He was going to be the replacement. He was going to be the man to eventually replace Brian Cody. And I think a lot of people felt for a long time, oh, this is going to be Cody's last year. He's going to go. He's going to leave here. And he just didn't. He just kept staying. And maybe was there something going on with Shefflin kind of waiting for that job? Maybe did Brian Cody feel like Shefflin's kind of secretly gunning for his job? And whilst we're all saying that Shefflin has given so much to Brian Cody down the years. Maybe Brian Cody looks at it the other way and thinks, well, look, I'm the one who put him in the team. I'm the one who managed the team, put the players together, design the systems, helped him win as many All-Irelands as he did. And yeah, he's trying to, get my job. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was just kind of reading between the lines. Now, it could all be completely hearsay, and it's probably all a lot of BS. But like, when I just do feel like there's more to it than just this, just the fact that he manages Galway,
But it is an interesting one, because even at the end of the game, Henry was in the tunnel just waiting for every Kilkenny player saying, well done in your Leinster title. Like, I don't think there's frosty relations between the players. I think Henry respects the players. Obviously, Owen Cody, who he managed at Ballyhale Shamrocks, and many other players, TJ Reid, who was in some ways his apprentice in the years when he did play for Kilkenny. I don't know what it is. Like, I was reading a few DMs from a few people on Instagram and Twitter, seeing a few perspectives on this, and they were saying maybe Cody is just old school. Maybe he said something that maybe Henry didn't like that much, or like I was hearing Cody didn't go to engagement parties. It wasn't his thing at all. He's just not into the modern world or something like that. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's just set these ways. He's just going to stick to these, and he's just going to do it his way. But I don't know, does Henry like that? But I know it was entertainment for the fans, to be in all honesty. But just Henry, I thought they turned the corner when they were shaking hands, and Cody looked like he said off they go. But when Henry was just shaking his head, I was like, oh, geez, something's nasty's happened here. And obviously, we'd love to hear what Cody exactly said. But yeah. I just find it very, very, very sad. I know it's great content for yourself and myself and for Off the Ball and loads of people around Instagram and Twitter for in the GA world. But it's just sad. I think it's very sad. Like, you think it'd be very easy just to make up differences and all of that, and put differences just to one side of an argument or something like that. But I don't know what's going on. Is it Cody sticky to his old ways? I don't know. I'm just interested what he said, to be honest, to make Henry that angry in the aftermath.
Yeah, like, I've watched it a few times myself, and I'm no lip reader by any stretch of the imagination. It sounded like he said best of luck to you. That was kind of what I thought I got. But then again, I don't know. It's very hard to know. Like, you could lip read that in multiple different ways. Like, he could have easily said something completely different. I mean, at the same time, like, there mightn't be that much in it as well. Like, I felt like with the first handshake, the media were making too much of a meal out of it, to be perfectly honest. I feel like with this one, there definitely is more substance to it, because like, they waited to shake each other's hand, and then you obviously have Shefflin walking away, shaking his head. Like you said, he looked very riled up and angry all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And he wasn't like that when the whistle originally blew. So just a little strange, to be honest, what's going on between the two of them. And it would be interesting, certainly, to see what he said. But like what you said, like, the fact that we're speaking more about this than the actual game between Galway and Kilkenny, like, that probably does go to show, that it just wasn't a great game at all. And Galway, to be fair, probably didn't live up to the expectations that they set throughout the round robin in Leinster.
They didn't know. Didn't whatsoever. 8 points for play, 70 minutes for them. Like, oh my God, Conor Cronin was missing, I think, 3 or 4 frees as well. Like, that's very poor. You can't do that in a Leinster final. And TJ, in fairness to him, was very good, immaculate in many ways on the free taking duties. But and Kilkenny were outstanding. Pádraig Walsh coming off the bench was brilliant. Walter Walsh gave a bit of age as well. Mikey Butler man the match. Mikey Kerry. They seem to be building a team. But the crucial thing now for Kilkenny is, can they do it in another semi-final? They didn't in the last few years. They flagged it this eve against Waterford and then against Cork, where they were very poor. Like, Owen Murphy saved them so many times against Cork last year. You have to wonder I don't know, will it be against Wexford, against Clare? I don't know who it will be. But whoever it is, Kilkenny need to up it now. They need to up it in another semi-final. I think most people would have guessed that Kilkenny would have won Leinster despite what Galway did in the league and the round robin series. The main challenge would have been the Leinster Championship. For Galway now, it's a very tough one now, because if Cork, I'm not disregarding Antrim by any stretch of the imagination. I think Cork will have a tough game against Antrim, Cork and Park. But if Cork, as expected, get through that, Cork usually beat Galway in these quarterfinals, semi-finals, or whatever. This will be a very tough game for Galway and for Henry Shefflin. Like, Cork beat them in Páirc Uí Chaoimh earlier on in the year, and Cork are improving now. They have more heart in the team. They seem to have a few things being clicked now under Kieran Kingston. Alan Connolly seems to be a goal getter, so that'll be a tough game now for Galway. And if they don't get past that game, that could be a failure of a season now for Galway. And after a poor performance against Kilkenny, that could have a domino effect now going into a game against Antrim or Cork very easily.
Yeah, it could be all right. And given the momentum that we've seen from Cork, obviously finishing the way they finished the Munster Championship, and it'd be tricky enough test against Antrim. You'd expect them to get through that, but suddenly a potential meeting between Cork and Galway sounds very, very fascinating indeed. We'll run on to the Joe McDonagh Cup final. It was Antrim 5-22, Kerry 4-24. I mean, this was probably the game of the weekend, to be honest. I mean, I know Limerick and Clare, was a bigger spectacle and there was more eyes on it, and maybe because of the occasion it would be a bigger game. But in terms of quality, in terms of entertainment, I mean, yes, you can criticize a lot of the defending that was on show, but 9 goals in total. I mean, Kerry were 11 points down on the 40th minute when they conceded their 5th goal or their 4th goal of the game. But a huge comeback right at the death, and that goal right at the end from Padraig Boyle meant nothing. Obviously, it was over by then, but I suppose at the same time, from a Kerry perspective, a lot of positives. But it's Antrim who once again get the victory against Kerry in the Joe McDonagh Cup final.
Yeah, it was very tighter than expected towards the end of the game. What a game it was. It's interesting what people would think about this. Like, Clare Limerick was a bigger spectacle, obviously, and it was dramatic. But this game, my God, it was end-to-end stuff. You thought in the first half Antrim would run away with it. Even I didn't watch the game personally. I was looking at the Scorpio app and I was thinking, Antrim are running away with this, unfortunately. I'm well up for Kerry hurling, obviously. But then Kerry get a goal through a penalty. I'm thinking, can they get back into this game? Then Antrim scored another few goals. I'm thinking, wow, Kerry are going to get a hammering here. But Jordan Conway, 2-2 off the bench. What a superb performance from him. Pádraig Boyle, obviously the whistle blew in the end, but what a performance from him. And to get within 1 point of Antrim, Kerry, how close can you get? 3 finals to lose in a row, that must be gut-wrenching for Stephen Mullally and his team. Look, Kerry, they had a very good year in general. Antrim were expected to win the game, and even look at stats before the game. I think Antrim averaged a scoring goals record of 4, and they averaged a concession goals rate, I think, of 2 or 3. So it kind of was going to end up that way. And honestly, I know Kerry didn't score both goals themselves, but when you look at Antrim's goal concession record, I think they conceded, 11 goals in 5 games in the Joe McDonagh Cup. They scored 20 themselves. That's 25 goals in 6 games for Antrim. I just wonder if they bring that goal scoring form into Cork, who aren't the best defensively now, in Corrigan Park. That could be a tricky trip up now for Cork. But yeah, fair play to Antrim for getting the win over the line. But for Kerry, disappointment for them. They have to move on to Wexford now next week, which I think Wexford should have enough for them in Tralee. But you never know with this Kerry team. Stephen Mullally seems to have them well oiled. But Antrim, second Joe McDonagh Cup in 3 years, brings achievement for them. And there's a realistic chance now of them staying up next year. They have to challenge Westmeath, which isn't as bad as a Laois team that was confident last year. So the Antrim have a realistic game now to stay up. They have to stay up, I think, in my opinion, next year.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they clearly have bags of quality. We've seen them obviously in the league and some big performances in the last couple of seasons, and big victory as you said here. And I think they were everyone's pick to win the Joe McDonagh Cup before a ball was pucked, and they've obviously gone ahead and delivered. Sean was saying here, anyone know where the game will be played? Galway versus Cork, Antrim. Do you have any takes on that? I mean, sometimes they play a lot of quarterfinals in Croke Park, but maybe with this one they might go Thurles. Maybe, I'm not sure, to be honest, which way they go. Yeah,
it's probably going to be Thurles, because the other quarterfinals most likely going to be Clare and Wexford. I would think that's in the middle. That's in Thurles. It might be a double header. It could be a double header in Thurles. None of the football games are going to be played in Thurles. So I think the only games are going to be played in Thurles now, inter-county wise, the rest of the year is LGFA and Camogie. That's it. So Thurles is well available. I think he'll be on a Thurles. In all honesty, it will definitely not be Páirc Uí Chaoimh, because that's just unfair on Galway. So I think it'll be Thurles, all right. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Well, I suppose before we finish up, then obviously your own podcast, GA Statsman. Where can people find that if they're looking for it?
Yeah, just search GA Statsman on Instagram. Well, GA__Statsman 2 now. My new account, GA Statsman. You could just search it on Google anyway. And if you search Google GA Statsman, then followed by the word Google, you actually get, or you could go onto my Instagram bio or Twitter bio and click a link, and I have all my stats on that site there if you want to check it out. As for the podcast, it's on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube now. I'm recording on YouTube. A few technical difficulties last week with Zoom, down my camera last week. So few technical difficulties there, should be fixed now for next week's preview, but we'll have to see. But you could just search GA Statsman on Google, Instagram, YouTube now. I'm on YouTube, Spotify, so I'm everywhere really. So I have a podcast, I have stats in every game nearly. So search me on that and you're all good to go.
Yeah, top man. Well, look, listen, appreciate you, Matthew, jumping on. And cheers anyone who tuned into the stream. If you could leave a like and subscribe, getting very close to 3,000 subscribers. So if you could subscribe, that'd be absolutely brilliant. And make sure to check out Matthew's podcast and Instagram and all the rest as well. So yeah, cheers, Matthew, for coming on, top man.
Thanks very much, Aaron, and up the Rebels.
yeah, we'll see.